Greetings, what's up? This is your man, Tarik Scott, Human Development Mentor and Independent Researcher. And I'm coming to you today, one, to thank you for supporting the Romance and Finance free video series. I enjoyed sharing that information with you and getting your feedback, and it was highly successful. The free video series will be up for 2 more days. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, make sure that you go to romanceandfinance.com and check out the free video series. And today, in conclusion and wrapping up of the Romance and Finance free video series, I wanted to talk to you about the Think Like a Man and Act Like a Woman movie, which is coming out today, but really the book. Just been online and seeing some feedback from women and men, and not about the movie because the movie hasn't even come out yet, so we can't review the movie. However, the movie is based off of the book, which is written by comedian and talk show host Steve Harvey. And a lot of the feedback that I've been hearing from women initially, it's been negative. And it's been from a lot of women who admittedly have not read the book. I do have one friend who actually read the book, and she had a negative view of it, but that was one out of many. And so it caused me to say, okay, I didn't have an opinion of it at all. And to be real with you, as a man, initially I felt like most men feel. And that's like, well, a man, I don't want to know, a man can't tell me about a woman, and I felt like he was spitting game to them, and that was my initial feeling, because the book has been out for a couple years now. However, when I thought about it, I said, well, I haven't read the material, so really, you know, what am I against? Am I against Steve Harvey, the messenger? Or am I against the message? I'm not against anything. So I went, got the book, read it in one day. And I have to say that Think Like a Man and Act Like a Woman is a very informative book that doesn't encourage women to think like a man. It actually teaches women how men think in general. Now, one of the challenges that I've heard is, well, does Steve Harvey speak for men? Or does he speak for you? And that's one of the challenges I've heard women ask, and I've even heard some men say that Steve Harvey doesn't speak for them. So my question is, since you say that, and I guess you read the book, so when you say as a man that Steve Harvey doesn't speak to you, and I'm going to refer to my notes that I wrote down as I read the book. When you say that Steve Harvey doesn't speak for you, this is for the men now. He defines men by saying men are defined by who they are, what they do, and how much they make. So, men, when you say that Steve Harvey doesn't speak for you, you're saying that you're not defined by who you are, what you do, or how much you make. Okay, so I mean, that's fair if you feel like that's not how you're defined as a man. I'm here to say that I feel like the world defines men by that way. Who are you? You know, self-determination. Who are you? And after you find out who you are, what is it that you do? And it's not just necessarily your job. I mean, your job is inclusive of that, but what actions do you take based on who you are? And then what do you get in return for what you do, which is monetary, but also there's an abundance of what you get, what you make out of what you do, what you create out of what you do. And I'm saying that that's how men are defined. So any man that's saying that, I'm like, are you just saying that because you want to agree with the women who are disagreeing with Steve Harvey so you can get into a better position? And, you know, be honest with you, let's be real, man. I mean, women want to feel empathy, and a lot of times when they communicate, they want people to feel, you know, where they're coming from versus initially, you know, what they're thinking. So But as men, we tend to be more problem solvers and more logical. This book is a problem solver piece. Now, I'm not saying it is perfect. I'm not even saying that I agree with everything that's in there, but for the most part, what I've read, I agree with. When Steve Harvey describes how men show love, he says we profess the love, and then we want to provide and we want to protect. So again, men, I'm asking you, you disagree with that? When you love a woman, do you not profess your love openly? You call her your wife, you give her some type of title, because you want the world to know that this is my woman. Then you have the need to want to provide for her. Okay, and then you as a man want to protect her. Is that not true? I don't know. These men that's saying that this man doesn't speak for them, and he's not trying to speak for them, he's just generalizing what men are made up of. And so I don't see where the discrepancy is. Now, I understand with the sisters that some women have a problem with Steve Harvey personally, and perhaps his personal life, and why is this comedian giving relationship advice? And actually, he's giving advice on men. He's a man, so as a man, he's qualified to speak on being a man. And there are generalities about men and women that are true. Now, yes, everything is not general. People are exceptions, but if we cannot teach based on generalities, and we couldn't talk about any subject, because every subject can be differentiated and chopped up and have variation, but we teach from a general perspective, and we try to find the common denominators and when we talk. So I understand that women may have some issues with him, but do we want to start to say that in order to hide something from a woman, put it in a book by somebody that you don't like? Because that's really what's happening. So, well, I don't like Steve Harvey, so then I don't like the truths and the information that he's saying. But you have to separate the messenger from the message. And what I'm reading in this book is a play-by-play on how to understand the male psyche. It's not asking you to change who you are, but it may be asking you to change your behavior based on now being able to interpret what men do and how we process things. So I think the book is dope. Great read. It's simple. It's some people say, hey, it's nothing new. So if it's nothing new, then there's nothing to be mad about. It's like, hey, I know that already, but do you, as the college graduate, tell the first grader that their lessons is nothing new and it's irrelevant? No, you say, okay, I know that, but there's something for you to learn. And there's always other levels of the same lesson. So be aware of who you're listening to, ladies. Because if you don't want to listen to Steve Harvey, then I would argue that you just is soon not listen to your girlfriends when you have a problem, and the first person you call is your girlfriend to try to figure out, what is going on, why did he do this, and she sits there and listens to you, and I'm thinking like, well, she's a woman, like she's only going to be able to give you her perspective. One, she's not him. So if you ever want to know why somebody's doing something, you probably should talk to them first. But also, she's going to console you and be there for you, but again, she's a woman. And then you have your male friends who are really just dudes in waiting to try to, an opportunity to have sex with you. And he's going to co-sign on anything basically that's going to put him in a position to, be in a position to have sex. He's not going to. So if you say you don't like Steve Harvey, he's not going to like Steve Harvey. And then most men are not going to even admit that they even acknowledge another man for giving them sound advice. It's just not how we're made up. Even though we do, and even though we should do it more, because then it will prevent a lot of problems that we have. You know what I'm saying? As men, respecting the OG, or someone who's been through it, whether they learned from failure or learn from success. People can teach you from two different perspectives. And if you feel that he's a womanizer and had a failed marriage, well, who better to teach you about how men think in a adverse way in some instances than a man who's a player? So I don't get why we're fighting this book. I mean, I hope that the movie is great, as far as it's a comedy. And I know we want more diversity in our movies and things of that nature. And, hey, the bottom line is you have to support movies, and, the dollars make sense. So if it supported, money-wise, then they'll continue to make different types of movies. So, I mean, my expectation, I'm not expecting the world to change because of the movie. I hope that there's some life lessons learned. I hope it's entertaining. I hope it's funny because it's a comedy. And again, I recommend that if you haven't read the book, read the book. Particularly, I advocate that the young women should read the book. And men may not like it because Steve is exposing a lot of our games, a lot of the games that we play, and a lot of the mental games. Because what we do is we do understand women to the point of understanding how to get what we want. You know what I'm saying? And which is men want sex. So men understand women enough to get sex out of women, to get money out of women. But how many men understand women enough to get the optimal relationship from them? So I'm waiting for a woman to write a book telling men how to understand you guys or you gals emotionally, and tune into that and how you think. I want to understand how you think. I don't want to think like you, but I want to understand how you think, because I want to have the best type of relationship that I can possibly have with a woman. And if every relationship we have to go through with trial and error wears people out. And you can go through a relationship and learn something, but the trial and error that you took that person through may, make them not want to be with you at the end of the day. So again, man, I like the book. I think it actually challenged me as a man to reassess, myself, make sure okay, here's the definition of a man. I agree with these things. And, and since I agree with him, am I living up to these things? So really, I think men should read the book also. It's not banging on women. It's not hating on women. It's not telling women to be different. It's saying, hey, this is how men in general think. The only issue that I do have is that the book to me is written from an alpha male ideal perspective, with the assumption that the man has been taught manhood by another man. That's the assumption, and the reality of it is, in our community, that's not always so. And because a man is not taught manhood qualities, it doesn't mean he doesn't have the right intent. So that's it. The book doesn't get into that. It gives you the ideal. Here's what the ideal man should look like. And if he's not that way, then there may be some issues. So, all in all, I'm with it. I suggest that, you lower your hate for the personal and allow the truth, if it's the truth to you. Now, if you disagree with it, fine. I mean, I'm not saying you should agree with it, but don't be blinded by your passion and dislike for somebody to not be open to the truth. People are blinded by the fact that women tell them certain things. Certain men don't want to listen to women, and not because the information is not true. It's like, well, she's a woman. A woman can't tell me blah, 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 blah. But if you want to elevate, and we look at our position as a community, are we in a position to say who's going to throw us the life preserver and who won't? If I'm drowning and I want to be saved, hey, I'm taking the the first person is throwing me a lifesaver. You know what I'm saying? I'm hopping on the first the first raft that comes past. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying, oh, I don't like so and so that's on there, so I'm not. Nah, man. I'm taking my lifeline and I'm getting the safety. And this right here is a lifeline. So I hope the movie is entertaining. Have fun if you go out and see it, and if not, let's have a discussion. But let's not have a discussion on why you don't like somebody, or let's not have a discussion on how somebody can't tell you anything. Let's have a real discussion about elements in the book and what you agree with and what you don't agree with. And let's move on. Let's progress. Let our relationships get better. Let's not worry about why somebody's not talking to the men. Well, who's telling? No, worry about yourself first. Like, if somebody's saying something that can help you, absorb it, take it, and use it for your benefit. Don't worry about what somebody else is not talking to somebody else for. Like, let's mature ourselves to another level, because I'm not saying that men should not be factored in this conversation, because in the conversation of relationships, black men are often left off of the whole playing field. It's usually white men, white women talking to black women about relationships and why we don't want to marry women, and no one ever comes and asks regular, real black men what's up. So yeah, we all need to be a part of the conversation, but for this particular conversation that's going towards the women, peak game, because he is really giving you the insight to the socialization of men, for better or worse, how a lot of us think. And as a man, I'm qualified to say a man who thinks in a lot of these ways and has friends and acquaintances and even enemies. This is how people think. So once again, man, it's your man, Tarik Scott, human development mentor, independent researcher, and I'm signing off. Have a great weekend, and remember, love is unconditional, but relationships aren't. So let's get our relationships right. Peace.